Hey guys, now we got another conversation going. This is Mikk, and we're going to have a little chat between a soccer fan and a Aussie Rules fan. Now, Mikk, how are you doing today? You okay?
Awesome, mate. Awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you're going to ask me 5 questions as well. Can you give a little introduction about yourself, what team you support, where you're from, just so the viewers got a bit of a background?
Yeah, sure. I'm from Melbourne, born and raised. I'm a Tigers supporter, which is good now, but
Go
wasn't
Tigers.
when I was growing up. Yeah. I started playing Aussie Rules when Aussie used to like only play games. I started playing competitive games when I was 6 towards about 19. Played with a couple of AFL players, played against a couple of AFL players. Probably Eddie Batch is probably the name of. Yeah, that's about it.
So Eddie Betts is probably the biggest name you've played against. We'll get into that. I'm going to get into that. The first question, I think. Let's get straight into the questions. Right, I'm going to go first if you don't mind.
All right.
Now, you said you played against.
Go for it.
You said you played against Eddie Betts. Now, where I referee football, soccer as well. I have refereed players that end up being very, very good players. Now, for you, playing against someone like Eddie Betts, what separates an Eddie Betts from Joe Bloggs, as in any other random person that plays? What makes them that much better? What, in your opinion, do you think?
I think in Eddie's case, it was speed. I think with most Indigenous players as well, they seem to have this. They seem to be electric. They seem to have something else as well. So he stood out, straight away, skills wise as well. Decision making. I think probably skills is the big thing. So it just seemed to be more advanced.
Almost at that stage. What age did you play against him? Roughly.
I was 17.
Okay. So you almost think just almost advanced a few years ahead of everyone else, but not actually aged, if that makes sense. Because I find in football, soccer, that actually it's normally the better players. It's not that they are technically better. I find it's that they are physically stronger, physically faster, and it's the physical side that I think that quite often makes the difference, especially in the early stages. So an academy player compared to a team that plays random games at the park. So what you said, obviously, you think that the electric speed, just the physicality, but obviously you're saying Eddie Betts clearly had the skill as well that was above and beyond the rest. But I think it's similar-ish. Yeah, if that makes sense, that physicality. Yeah, cool. Question for you. Go. Fire away.
I think it has to be. Alright. So obviously in soccer, players go down like they've been hit by an invisible bullet or something.
Like a sniper.
And I've played soccer before. Yeah. I've played soccer before and I got clipped on the ankles and stuff. And I didn't do 85 somersaults on the ground. So I guess watching from Aussie Rules fans probably look at it and go, is that acceptable? What do you guys think when you see players do that? Is that acceptable? Are the other players thinking, get up, you win? Or what are the fans thinking as well?
So the problem is the problem is the tribalism in football or in soccer. I'll say soccer. That makes the Aussies understand. If you're relating it just to the fans, the problem with fans are, and this will be controversial, but fans are idiots. Whether you like it or not, because of the tribalism, it makes you biased towards your team. So the thing is, for example, if a player falls over and wins a penalty, it's a high chance of scoring. So are you going to complain when your player dives and wins a penalty? You probably don't, even though you know it's a penalty. If it's the other team, you are obviously that's a dive. But sadly, as a football fan, now it's different for me because I'm a referee, and obviously the Euros are going on at the moment, which is all the European soccer teams playing, and I'm sitting watching, and I'm like, there's another dive, and it's driving me crazy. After watching AFL and rugby union and rugby league, I'm fed up of seeing all the diving, and it's embarrassing. So for me, it's embarrassing, and it's making football a laughing stock. However, to the average fan, it's almost like they don't notice it because of that tribalism. And actually, the commentators, listening last night, I think it was, there was some clear dives, or someone's touched someone and the other person falls over, like you said, like they've been shot. But the commentators are saying it's a foul and whatnot. And you think, it doesn't help when a commentator is going along the same lines of how it's a foul when he's literally been, blown on, touched by a feather. And so that's the problem. I think a lot of fans are either oblivious to it, ignorant to it, or just simply don't care. And it's quick. It's the whole thing. It's easy to then blame the referee as well. Now, obviously, as a referee, these are the sort of topics I talk about, but it's easy to then just blame the referee and put the emphasis on the referee rather than the player diving. But yeah, hopefully that's answered the question. Sort of, people are oblivious to it, it seems.
Yeah.
Even though it's prevalent and it's embarrassing. So, yeah. Okay, question number 2. What is the hardest part of playing Aussie rules?
Physically, I think because the ball is just constantly moving.
Yeah.
And you can easily get caught out of position. You've got to read the play. There's so much going on all the time. And I think the speed of the game makes decision making and puts everything under pressure. So your decision making, skills, and just the actual skills of the game as well is very hard. It's something I think I advise you to do, Rob, which I think you'd benefit a lot from as well. By footy and go down the puck, kick it around.
I've pointed out I've got a ball.
And get a feel for it that way.
Yeah, I've got a ball.
There you go.
And I am. The weather isn't getting nicer because I've also got a rugby ball as well, and I've got to take conversions as well. But I do want to. I am a dodgy ankle at the moment. I'm waiting to be fixed, but it will be on the cards. I'm surprised you didn't say the hardest thing about AFL is actually catching the ball, because it is like butter. How is this so slippery? This is ridiculous.
I think put like stuff on your hands, like grip and chalk.
I think you have to. Because it does seem to be fair, because obviously the size of the pitch, it seems that you can. I think when you pick up on the point of being out of position, because of how, for example, slippery the ball is and how many interceptions there are made, you can quickly be on the attack and then all of a sudden lose the ball and oh crap, you've got to run back 50 metres just to try and get it back into a position. So I think that's an interesting point. I want to. Yeah, go on. Yes, yeah, and
just because it was. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying it's similar with rugby in the fact that it's an egg-shaped ball, and it's that unpredictability that ball bounces and it's over there somewhere. Next time it's over there somewhere. And I think in football in football soccer it's easier for another player to cover you if you get out of position, if that makes sense, because it's that smaller pitch. Okay, cool. Next question for you.
For you? You know how you talked about the pyramid system with the AFL?
Mm-hmm.
You brought that up, and people have loved you for bringing that up.
Or hated me. Either one.
I like the devil's advocate. It's good. How hard is it for a soccer team to go up from Division 1 to, say, Premier League and actually be successful or be competitive?
I'll give you a prime example of current situations. Leicester City, they came right up. They won the Premier League, which was they were 5,000 to 1 to win it. They have maintained a kind of a top 6 finish. Say again.
Did you have a dollar on that?
So yeah, that's the thing. Now, bearing in mind, not all teams need to get up to the Premier League to say they're successful. It's sometimes it is about the support base, but yeah, let's just say Leicester had lots of money invested. They had lots of money invested. They bought players well. They bought like Jamie Vardy, who's the striker who has come from non-league football. So it's not like they didn't. To be fair, they didn't just buy the best players, and even now they don't necessarily have the best players. So they have worked hard. There's teams like Wigan Athletic. They went up. They've gone back down, sadly. So that's your point then about how easy is it to get up and stay up. So let's look at it. Money is how you make success. You need the money to buy the best players, because the problem with our system is, without having a wage budget and a transfer budget, the problem is that if you say you bid, if you want to buy a player for 1 million, but then another team realises actually, well, I want that player, they can offer 2 million. Oh, but that team still wants it, so they'll then offer 3 million. So money is always going up, and to get the best players, you always have to offer more than the other team's willing to spend. And that's the same with wages. So the only way to go up really is to invest money. And there's pros and cons. Because at the end of the day, if you do get a good investor, you've always got an opportunity to be successful. However, I think the main point should be, yes, every team is always striving to get to the top. However, sometimes it's about the fan base, the fans coming to the games. You know, a conference team, which is the fourth division, their chances of getting to the Premier League are next to none. However, it doesn't necessarily matter, because the fans are there to watch that type of match, a lower league game. Going up, say, one division to the third division, that's enough. So it's not all about being in the top division. That's the thing that you kind of have to stress. Yes, it's the ultimate goal for everyone, but not everyone knows that's not the way it works. Does that answer the question? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to get to the top division because there are lots of teams down below.
Yeah, and you're sort of Division 1 and the lower divisions are still sort of popular, though, aren't they?
So this is the thing that a lot of the AFL fans couldn't quite get to grips with, is that in our Premier League, yes, there is a lot of money. You know, all the Chinese TV companies, Indian, all these TV companies are paying the money. However, especially in the UK, the second division is really popular because they've got the fan base behind them. When Leeds, for example, Leeds went up to the Premier League this year, or last year, should I say. But when they were last in the Championship, they were filling their stadium. And a lot of these teams are still filling their stadiums. You know, 30 plus thousand. Not every team's 30 plus, but the teams with 30 plus thousand, they are still filling their stadiums. Fans, yes, sometimes less fans want to go. However, even going lower down, the fans still support their clubs. Remember the tribalism. So you're still getting a lot of money from the fans going in, the merchandise being sold. So it's not all doom and gloom by being in the second division. So yeah, there is a problem in football with money, but there's always a chance to go up, and there's always that chance to go down if you don't play well enough, and that's exciting. The relegation, for example, in the Premier League or all divisions, the bottom of the table is always exciting because you're fighting for your survival, and that always leads to exciting matches. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I get why you brought it up, and I think the bottom teams in the AFL later in the year, they need to have incentive to win.
Yeah. I know people have said, it's not allowed to do, to tank or whatever you call it, to get a better draft pick, but there's no incentive to win. Why would you want to win? I know people have said, the fans will kick off. Yeah, but surely, if you've got no reason to win, you want that better draft pick, and it confuses me because I'm not used to a draft system. So I'm just making a point. But there is no reason to win, and so, like I said, you need something for these teams. The Aussie Rules fans, they always make the point of they want to see the exciting football. They want to see their exciting game. When I did the flood video, people were like, it ruined the game. It was a boring game. Well, okay. Well, if that's your mentality, you need to give your teams a reason to win. And if they're in the bottom 8 or whatever number it is, they've got no reason to win. What's the point of them playing? That's I think possibly the reason why I brought up a pyramid system, which overall increases the standard of teams. But it's one of those things.
I got it.
If you're not used to it, it's alien to you, and you're less likely to even listen to it. That's all I want, really. People to listen and debate and see the pros and the cons. But yeah. Question number three. Oh no, what am I on? Yes, question number 3. What do you think... That leads on quite actually with what I just said. What do you think AFL can implement to make the league or the game better?
What I think the biggest issue is consistency at the moment with the rules that they implement, and the game obviously always constantly changing. But I don't think we change, and it's sort of a question I have for you as well. I don't think a sport changes as much as AFL does. Like, I think we change the most week to week.
Yeah.
With our consistency. And I think that brings the game sort of, I'm trying to think of the word, the integrity of the game, I guess, is always under question for a lot of people. And as a foreigner, I couldn't imagine trying to get your head around a game that's you don't know that well first off, and then it's always changing on you. Because I watch every weekend and I think, what chance? I don't understand why they just paid that decision. So what chance have you got? So,
See, AFL's a funny one, I think, because I don't think there's many rules from an outsider. I don't think there's many rules and laws actually in the game in the first place. So that's what makes it quite easy to watch. So I think because I'm on the outside, almost looking in, I don't notice the rule changes. I don't notice the law changes at all, because there doesn't seem many in the first place. But I suppose for you guys, you like to think you know the laws fairly well. I'm surprised when you say things like that change weekly. That doesn't make sense because in most sports, in soccer, in rugby, it's at the end of the year, they have a look, they see if anything needs amending, and then it takes place before the start of the next season. But you're saying weekly?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So you can watch a game on a Friday night, and the umpires can be red hot on one law or one rule decision. Then you watch a game Saturday, and the umpires are not so red hot on that decision. You might go the other way with that decision and not pay that rule, and that's the problem. That's what I talk about, the consistency of it. There's been examples of it all year.
So
and
I'll try and talk about that point as a referee. Now, because we get inconsistencies from referees in soccer, and I will be different to when I referee, I will be different to another referee. So there's a few things to look at, and that's what are your tolerances as a referee. My tolerance is different to another referee's tolerance. So what I see as a foul, another referee might not see as a foul because it's quite subjective. A lot of these things are subjective. However, rugby do this really well. And I know in Australia you are very much, it seems, half Aussie rules, half rugby. But honestly, rugby does this so well, especially union. Now, what union do especially is the governing bodies, they say this is what you must do. You must do this. So for example, in the Six Nations we just had, the referees were cracking down on high shoulder to head tackles, and it was a straight red card. You send the players off because you are focusing on the safety of the players. Now, my point on that is, it's the governing bodies are saying you must do that. Every time it happens, you must do it. Now, with those sort of things, it's easy to tell because a shoulder to head, it's normally, the decision is it's not subjective necessarily. You can think of lowering down the punishment but they have, remember rugby union has TMO and so does league, which is television match official, which is something Aussie Rules needs, in my opinion. So they can re-look at things and they can say, okay, well, actually it wasn't too bad. It can be a yellow, whatever. You need that in AFL then, and you need it in soccer, where you need the governing bodies to say, this is a foul. This is the example. You must give that as a foul, and so forth. Because the problem is having referees, they've all got different tolerances. Like I said, some of the fouls that you were talking about in the first question about players falling over when they've literally been brushed. Sadly, some referees think that's a foul and their tolerance is at a certain level. Whereas for me, these things aren't a foul and my tolerance is different. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think you probably what the issue is for AFL, which is the governing body aren't concrete enough on things, certain rules.
Yeah, same
as
soccer. Same as soccer.
Yeah, and I think Aussies like they like that part. They like the interpretation of it. They like it being a little open. But I think some of those laws that are open to interpretation are what is the problem with the game.
Yeah. This is the whole thing, and I think this almost goes back to the talking about the fans. Like I said, that when I said about the fans, the tribalism, the subjectiveness, and the bias. It's fans. Sadly, my next question was going to be, what do you think what are the biggest similarities and differences with Aussie rules and soccer? But I think this is probably one of it. I'm almost answering the question for you. Is that the tribalism creates the bias and blinds people, and I think that is exactly the same in whether people like it or not. I think it's exactly the same in AFL and in soccer, that the fans get blinded and you see what you want to see. And I think that's but yeah, if there's any other similarities or differences, let me know.
Yeah. Well, injuries in soccer. So in AFL, past players are coming out and speaking a lot about concussions and ongoing injuries they're having, ongoing problems from that. In soccer, you guys header the ball a lot. I do pass players get neck injuries and problems from that.
So are we getting a lot of
sort of ongoing?
So you lagged out a bit, but I'll fill the question. So you're saying, are there a lot of neck injuries, head injuries in soccer? So there's been a few cases. I'll give you a recent one. Now, this isn't from heading the ball, but it's from leading to heading the ball. Now, we've just had Raul Jimenez, who's a Portuguese player playing for Wolves. He has been out a very long time because two players went up to head the ball, and one didn't get the ball and headed straight into Raul Jimenez. And yeah, he's only just coming back to football and he was out months and months. So that's an extreme case of a short term, because like I said, if two players are going up to head of the ball, it's head to head, or a goalkeeper going up and a player going to header it and he punches the head. That's a short term problem we've got. There are studies going on at the moment about head injuries, and it is worrying. And what I can't necessarily give you the facts because I don't necessarily know. However, what I can tell you is they know there's a problem with heading, and head injuries and brain injuries. So what they are doing, they've introduced, I think, last season or the season before. I'm also a football coach, and they have stopped training of heading from certain ages. So they've done it, for example, under 11s, you're not allowed to train heading at all. No practicing heading. And I think as you go up, it kind of increases a little bit more in what you're allowed to do. So they know there's a problem. And they are reducing the amount from a younger age. The only problem with that, possibly, that we won't see yet, but later on down the line, in years to come, is how will that affect the actual match? Because heading is a part of the match. I can't see you. They can't just get rid of heading because the game's not played on the floor. It's on all levels. So I don't know how stopping children from training heading is going to impact the game. That can only wait and see. But yes, the governing bodies are aware of it. There are studies going on, and they are sort of acting. But to what extent can you? Maybe it'll be a case down the line when everyone wears kind of headgear. I don't know. But I know
it's a really tough one.
Yeah, bearing in mind other players such as Petr Cech, the goalkeeper, he had a head injury, and he started wearing a headpiece just for protection in future cases, and other players have done the same. Not many, but yeah, we know there's clearly a problem, and we will start seeing it, I'm sure, later on down the line. So yeah.
Yeah.
Last question for you. Now, obviously, over in Europe, there is currently the Euros going on, where all the European international teams are playing a tournament, like the World Cup, but just European teams. But you have what's the Aussie rule? What's the Aussie version? The Asian one. I don't know what it's called now, but the Asians have their, Australasia. That's a word? Australasia or Asia Cup. But the Euros is going on, and as a nation, people love it. It's literally a month of football, and it's brilliant. Now, the problem with Aussie Rules is you don't have that sort of thing, because Aussie Rules is very much an Aussie sport. Yes, there are sort of leagues in other countries, but it's obviously nowhere near. It's more Sunday League in other countries. Now, would you love to see Aussie Rules played as an international tournament like soccer? Granted, I know there's not the teams, but in future, is it something you would like to see? So, England versus Australia, America, Australia, etc.
I don't know if I would.
You don't think you would?
I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed the Irish rules where we played
international rules against Ireland.
Yeah, the sort of the hybrid sort of thing that we played. I don't know if it was just straight Gaelic. Actually, I'm not sure. But I enjoyed that. I just maybe it's just my can't imagine anybody competing against.
Do you basically want to keep Aussie Rules to yourself? Is that what you want to do? You want to keep it for yourself and not share it?
There is a little part of that, I think. You sort of broke up a bit, but we play State of Origin, which is the different states here sometimes, or we used to. I wouldn't. Everyone enjoys that. I think a lot of Aussies are sort of protecting a bit of the game, but I kind of feel like it's been around 150 years, and if an international competition was going to happen, it would have already happened. It would
Possibly,
have already caught on, or they would have gone. Because I know different countries have AFL teams. Because we do have a tournament here, but Australia aren't in it, because I think they would smash.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any point of having the tournament in the first place.
No.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, especially with the fact that, like you said, it's been around over 150 years plus. If it was going to happen, it would have happened. It just amazes me that how unknown Aussie Rules is. Or maybe people have heard of it, but have no idea what it is. I didn't know what it was until a couple of months ago. I'm so glad I found it, because I'm absolutely loving it. But it's amazing how Australia is such a big country, which people don't realise because of the maps, how it shrinks the southern hemisphere. But still, it is amazing how big a country it is, and how big a sport it is in Australia. No one really knows what it is, and it's such a shame. But I completely understand
that's
how.
That's the other thing too. Though.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry to cut you off, but anyone, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
Some other countries, you know what I mean. So surprising that it hasn't caught on.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sure that most people that would watch it would actually almost get hooked. I know the time zone is a pain in the backside, but otherwise, it is strange. And if anyone knows why it's not caught on, let us know down below, because I don't know. And I don't know if it's the media coverage. You would think the Americans would like it because they like games with big scores. Americans love a big scoring game, don't they?
They love anything big, mate.
Exactly. So it's strange that it hasn't even caught on over there. But I don't know if the time zone thing is.
That's the common reaction. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
That's the common reaction. Is why isn't this bigger elsewhere? Anybody that first sees it asks that question.
Yeah. I think that is the question. I can't answer it. The only thing over here I would say is, like I said, is the games are early in the morning, and that's a pain in the backside because you know what it's like over here. Well, actually, no, it's coming in summertime, so it's lighter and early in the morning. So, but that maybe that's the real
early 20s.
Yeah, maybe that is the real thing. It's the time zone. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what the time is over in America when the games are played, but be interested to find out, or to find out what other people think. Do you have any other questions, or is that it?
No, I'll just tell you that I agree with you on the red cards. Your favourite thing to bring up.
Yes. Yes.
I'm with you.
It puzzles me that people don't agree.
Because, I mean, the incidents are few and far between.
That's fine, yeah. But it doesn't mean they don't happen. That's the thing.
And so, if they are so few and far between, it's like red cards don't exist anyway. So you know, if you're against them, you win too. You know. But
I can't understand.
I mean,
I find the problem is the excuses people have made for not having them. It's the whole thing of the referee can't see, things like that. What do you mean? There's like 8 referees, for Christ's sake. There's 8 in football. Yes, it's a smaller pitch, but we have 3. Oh well, if the referee gets it wrong, yeah, but okay, well, I'll give you 3 letters. TMO, television match official. Look at rugby. Yeah. There is no reason in today's games that you cannot implement a video referee. It doesn't take long. Even if it's the video referee that spots it, you can have a quick look. And my point was, I'm getting in a rant now, but my point was in the suspensions video I did is that all the cases, all of the videos were clear, obvious, intended assault. The player has gone and punched the guy on purpose. Now, none of them would have been difficult to work out. Yeah. And it annoys me when people say, oh, it's a part of the game. The other team will then get him back. So you risk losing your players in future games by them taking out aggression back. It just... If you're off a pitch, it's assault, it's GBH or whatever, and you're arrested. How is it acceptable? You could literally murder someone on an Aussie Rules pitch and you can play on. And I know that's the extreme, but it is still technically true. It's still technically true. And so that is the issue I've got. So I'm glad you agree. There's my rant for the day. And maybe we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Just for the sake of everyone else.
Thank you for the chat. I'm glad to have people that are open to suggestions. Not necessarily that I want you to agree with everything, but it's nice that you're open to even just listen and hear the pros and the cons. Like with the pyramid system that we've got, it's not necessarily that you have to agree with it, but as long as you listen to the pros and the cons, and that's what I want everyone to do that watches the videos. I'm trying to make videos quite often that create a discussion. Not that you have to agree, but hear me out, think about the pros and the cons, and even look at the pros and cons in your sports, rugby, Aussie rules, whatever. I'm doing it in my sport, which I am currently embarrassed by. Yeah. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, Mick. Have a good rest of your day.
No problem.
All the viewers, hope you enjoyed. Give me some comments below. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.